it still brings in bad character to the case. And when you're talking about juries, you know, they do funny things in that room, even though they've been given instructions, because that comes in very, very narrowly. And I would imagine that there's going to be a limiting instruction that you can't take this as a propensity to commit a crime. It's a specific incident or an element of the contempt. So I think that fact, just explaining it the way that you do, Michael, and I get it. There's an explanation. It may not be that he threw her down the stairs before, but at the same time, any explanation on this particular point does not help the defendant.
Now, at some point during speaking to the officers, he kind of tells a little bit of a different story. If you were representing him as a defense attorney, what he basically says is, look, I came around the corner and she was on the floor, kind of intimating that he didn't have anything to do with the shooting. That was a story he was telling. How would you deal with that as a defense attorney when you have the facts as they were presented and then you find out he kind of lied to the police as well?
Yeah, it's the 911 call too, Michael. It's also, well, where's the shooter? Where's the person responsible? And he leads the 911 operator to believe that he's not the shooter. That's what they're doing right now. For the last hour, we've been watching this cross-examination, and what they're trying to do is get out that he's confused, that he's not following the right mind, he's not in the right mindset, that he's not answering questions directly. I think that's one way that the defense needs to get out in front of that, is to say, look, he may have made those statements, but it wasn't of the sound right mindset when he did so, because of the confusion, the trauma of finding this loved one and what he did to her. That's how they have to deal with it, and that's what we're hearing right now.
Yeah, and I would think, David, you know, someone who was found in that situation, you know, and you get him at the point where he's extremely emotional. I think that's clear from some of the body cam footage that we showed. Expecting him to recount the facts of something like that, I think is a bit of a stretch, right? To do it perfectly every time, and that's an argument you can make as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two ways to see it. It's either in an attempt to deceive, or it's explained by the trauma. And I wonder, does the defense have an expert? That would be some area of expert testimony that maybe could be brought in to really bolster that argument for the jury, that people do react like this as opposed to just making the argument.
Yeah, and as you said, they've brought it out a couple of times with the various police officers that they talk to, that, you know, it can cause disorientation, which I think you do see some of that, certainly on the 911 call and in some of the body cam. All right, David Bruno, thank you so much for being with us this evening.